There we go again with that goddamn battery. Caspa community, welcome to this live stream. Our entire crew, all of the Caspians, everybody else in the crypto market is finally turning around and taking pop shots at us on social media, saying Caspa is dead. And the new round of investors are taking a look at the chart and relaying it to what everybody on social media was saying across the board. Every content creator was expressing how bullish the KRC-20 inscriptions were going to be, when in fact, this narrative was completely untrue. As we can see inside of our posts, inside our VIP, way back as early as this was made on September 11th. Just as we were coming out of this curve from 14, everybody was saying, oh, yes, you got to scoop up and load the bags down here. Meanwhile, we are saying, hold off. There's a potential massive discount up. So the market starts rallying, right there on September 9th. And the whole time, we had already selected an exact date and an exact dollar amount. We said October 4th. Just under 14 cents. And yesterday, October 7th, this exact price was flashing across the Caspa screen. Now, this might look like to some sort of advanced technical analysis geometry, but it's not. And what we're going to dissect right now are the fundamental understandings. This is Economics 101. That we've got to really grasp, not just for our Caspa investing, but for investing as a whole. Because you could have made the exact prediction that Caspa was going to go to the downside based on the KRC-20 inscription, just on fundamentals alone. We could have completely blindfolded the chart. And we've done this before inside VIP. An example would be right here. August 26th, we pulled out some very technical treasury bond data and noted the altcoin market and crypto would have a massive downside exactly on this date. Now you can go ahead and add to this and throw technical analysis on top of it. We can see these two exact cloning trend lines. These are the exact same two falling wedge. Oh, we're going to get into the memes, Pumpolinsky. Absolutely. And I want to keep something in mind. It was actually not necessarily that guy because he's an American and we don't really talk smack about Americans, but Archie himself with a huge widespread audience who was telling everybody during this dip round here, 14 cents is a giveaway. And I mean, honestly, unless you had a preset buy order, you're never getting in there. It's only down at 14 cents for like 8 hours. Realistically, you got to get 48 to 72 hours to really be able to not have fast button pressing. Of course, inside our VIP, we plan everything days and weeks ahead. Inside Archie's, for the most part, you've got 15 minutes to press buy because this alert's coming out mid-breakout. The Archie in Dubai, he was saying, oh yeah, you got to buy at 14. And everybody on social media starts pigpiling into this idea. Yeah, KRC-20 is going to launch. This is going to be mad bullish. And it never was, ever. As we can see inside our VIP, we realized across the board, it's going to bounce directly off 18 cents and then come to the downside. Not technical analysis. This is, in fact, fundamentals. And we'll get into it because there's layers and layers of fundamentals to this pullback. Right now, Those guys are all talking up meme coins. And this is the exact same mistake that they're always making over and over again. Got nothing wrong with meme coins. Meme coins can do very well. They're an indicator of market activity, particularly in the retail space. This is the thing. Remember 400 days ago, that entire group, Archie, incoming Sepral, they all started dive bombing into what sector? GameFi. Way too early. Now, some of them may have queued some profit taking at the top. I didn't follow their trading that closely. Lit Labs, GFAL, PlayZap. These all rugged. So everybody's buying in the middle of these breakouts looking for a pump, and it's rug. And the reason is the exact same concept as what's going on with Caspa right now. And what this is correlating it to broader market dynamics known as treasury bonds. But we're not going to go down this rabbit hole yet, because there's actually a lot much more on the surface level that we can get broken down just in terms of the Caspa projects and the KRC-20 inscription launch. That's way more bearish. And the reason that a lot of these guys are getting their predictions wrong on Caspa is because of their mindset. Mindset in trading is absolutely everything. One of the biggest issues with crypto, and we can see Neil deGrasse Tyson does this beautiful video about the actor Terrence Howard. You guys might have seen Terrence Howard get on Joe Rogan Experience and start explaining the mysteries of the universe using quantum science. He actually submitted a written report to Neil deGrasse Tyson, breaking down all his thoughts on Einstein's theory of relativity and the mysteries of the universe. And Terrence Howard, as respectfully as he possibly could, explained what the Dunning-Kruger effect is. And this is what we're seeing across social media. This is why when you open YouTube and you see these guys that are like, they might have a Lamborghini. They might be able to show you, I made $1 million during the last crypto cycle. And right now they are missing, and they're not just missing because of human error or missing because of market deference. They're missing wide, and it's based on fundamentals. This is just basic concept digestion of how the market works. They're on top of the peak of Mount Stupid, and soon they're going to take their fall into the valley of despair. Of course, when people have this exuberance overconfidence, like Neil deGrasse Tyson explains in this video, like when you watch Terrence Howard pull out those calculator tricks and try to break this down into the geometry of the periodic table, you're like, wow, yeah, that makes sense. This is overconfidence, and people love watching videos with confidence on them. But in fact, once reality sets in, you realize completely wrong. So 400 days ago with GameFi, as a new channel, we tried to warn everybody. And it didn't blow over too well because there was an overdominance of people just hyping up GameFi. The connection is, and what we're going to build off later in this video, is the distribution phase of the bond market for new people to step in. Just to realize how important this is, first of all, turn on any television channel that talks about money. What do you see? There are guys up there and they're news pundits discussing the FOMC meetings and rate cuts. They call it stocks and bonds for a reason. You're like, well, I'm not trading bonds. It doesn't matter because bonds represent money. If they're going to build a hospital, make an aircraft carrier, launch something into outer space, no matter, build a highway, it comes from bonds. This is the central banks, and they work hand in hand with the investment banking class. These are the shareholders of Marathon Digital, BlackRock, Jane Street. You guys poking around VCs inside of cryptos, you've probably came across the name Jane Street. They're huge. They back tons of projects, very similar to Polychain Capital. These guys are the investment banking class, and they work hand in hand with the bond market. So we'll get into, just to show you some quick dates on how potent this is, and then we're going to get into actually on Kaspa chain, nothing to do with the bond market first. February 20th, and then this local swing high, June 14th, and also when they start raising rates right here. It's right about December 2021. Look at the Bitcoin chart. These are all the exact same dates. February 20th, 2021. That's the 1-year treasury bonds. So 1 year after the Fed cuts rates, they're forcing all this cash, all this capital out of the investment banking class to stimulate the economy. A major factor in trading, and this is why you see it all across TV, is people try to anticipate based on the economy numbers, jobs, core inflation, what the Fed's going to do, when they're going to cut rates, and when this bull market's going to be on. Satoshi, when he built Bitcoin, do you think it's a coincidence that the last time the FOMC did these rate cuts, we just saw the market rally on rate cuts? The last time they did it was 4 years ago. It seems like the Fed's working with Bitcoin. No. Satoshi built Bitcoin to work with greater monetary policy, global liquidity. This was the last rate cut on Bitcoin right here. Boom. And not only is this historically bearish because of what it stands for fundamentally. Fundamentally, when the Feds cut rates, yeah, there's a rally like right here. Everybody's getting bullish. Everybody's getting excited. Meanwhile, it's showing that the Fed is looking to stimulate the economy. These businesses, they're going for the soft landing. They're trying to make sure they're not raising the unemployment rate. And the reason why the Fed keeps all the money is because of quantitative easing. They've been printing so much cash. That's why this bubble's so big. Even though this cash is printed, the Fed's just holding it. So it's like inflation, but it's not really out in circulation. Now that inflation's under control, they need to get some more of that money onto the street, start stimulating the economy and getting growth. So they've been holding the money for so long, the economy's a bit dried up. Less money to go into risk on assets. And until these bonds start to unlock, that's when the bull run starts. About a year later. So right now, the economy is in a downside. Another example, China. You guys may have heard of, depending on how much you watch financial TV. China just did a massive stimulation package, and they're trying to avoid getting in economic trouble. Same exact thing. They all work hand in hand. If any of these younger type of guys with huge social medias sold their Caspa or advertising they are, in my opinion, it's because these guys source all of their income from selling VIP, and meme coins are very popular amongst new investors. So they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to make it trading. I'll just go along with my picks and be all out in meme coins so everybody can back me and I can show some tickers. That's my opinion of the majority of these guys, is they can't hold their mustard as traders. All you have to do is hodl realistically and you make it, but they are. The Peach Fuzz Mafia is telling their groups to dump. Well, that's good for us because the market is built on top of losers. They all had the completely wrong idea about what was actually going on with Caspa. Meanwhile, inside our VIP, we knew to the day, to the dollar, almost a direct bullseye hit a month in advance where the price was headed because we understand the fundamentals. These guys have no clue what's going on. They're just blindfolded. They are on top of the peak of Mount Stupid. God bless their souls. That's what makes the markets move. Either you have understanding or you don't. Going one step deeper into the fundamentals. So as Casplex is stepping up and they're saying, yeah, we're going to launch Casplex parallel with the FOMC meeting, which we know is going to be a rate cut. Digest this for a moment, and what does this spell out when we add up all the paperwork? This shows central banks are cueing the investment bankers to take the money out of the bond market, which is what stimulates the bull run, as we looked at the February 20th date. And then it's all over once they start raising rates. We forgot to double check that. Look at December 2021, and more importantly, this local swing high, June 14th, that's when the party's over. Once the Fed starts raising rates. You see that? There's November, right? November, December, that's the peak. Guess what? That's right when the Fed started inching up this. They probably raised it 25 basis points right there. You see that? And then all the way to here, June 14th, that's the swing low. And people who are uneducated in this, because the last cycle, the monetary policy was on warp speed, Captain Zulu. You're talking about 0% interest rates. You're talking about printing money. Therefore, it's a non-issue. You really didn't have to pay close attention to it because it's on full blast. It's like somebody had a brick waiting down the gas pedal. These guys think they know how to drive, and they're not even with their foot on the pedal. So what was really going on fundamentally, the central banks are saying, get the money out of the bond markets and start stimulating growth on the street. And so Casplex very intelligently is saying to Jane and Jump Street, BlackRock, everybody, hey guys, build on Caspa. And they're getting way ahead of schedule. As altcoins operate differently than Bitcoin, taking a look at these exact same dates, February 20th, remember, that's when the Fed forced all the cash out of their bubble to fight inflation. They're holding it. They're playing Monopoly. They're the banker. They push all of the investment banking class cash out of bonds by lowering the yields. They push it onto the street. We get the run up here, but then you have the distribution phase. Altcoins are different than Bitcoin. Bitcoin has the run up here on February 20th, and then nothing's being built on chain. An example of AVAX and or Phantom, first they get this injection from the run up phase, and then right around here, May, they start building on chain. So Jane Street's decided that they're going to go ahead and build the Trader Joe utility coin and everything else that's involved in the bull run for AVAX, stacking it up. There's AVAX, stacking it up, and then they have the huge distribution cycle. What's very interesting and super bullish about Kaspa is because Casplex stepped up to the plate, understanding the fundamentals these teams do hand in hand, way better than retail. They have trained professionals who went to college for this. They just put the message out on the street. You guys can invest in Caspa instead of the bond market. And because BlackRock, Jane Street, and a lot of these other guys, I'm sure, are involved in, if not directly, VCs, all the utility projects on Caspa, in my opinion, are already getting built. These 24-point reports that we have, they have stacks of them up to wazoo. Keep something else in mind. It was just recently, every single altcoin from Aerodrome, you name it, was getting completely destroyed. Let's take a look at Aerodrome. This is like one of the leading rips, and then I'll get into why we actually don't want to get into meme coins quite yet. This is all part of that time diversification. This is Aerodrome. So as we can see, before the FOMC meeting, they went from 2, which is their all-time high, to 50 cents. $2.38. So if that happened to Caspa, we'd be at, we'll change 2 into 20. We'd be way down. Yeah, we'd be at like 5 cents. That'd be a 5-cent Caspa. We're at 14. Caspa's not taking a hit like all these other projects did or do. looking at Pepe, which is a flagship, this is one of the leaders in the space. What technical analysis classic pattern is this? Classical patterns only show us the psychology of the market. So they rallied really hard here. They made a new high, they made a secondary high, and then they failed to make the third high. This is the right shoulder. This looks almost identical to GFAL. So everybody who's pig piling into Pepe right now, this was what they did 400 days ago. Same exact actors, same exact mistake. They don't understand the correlation to the bond market. The way that this plays out is the smart money, they understand how we're building on chain, what's going to have a stronger run-up phase, and then what's going to have a stronger distribution, and they build their portfolios accordingly, and that's what we aim to do inside VIP. Yeah, looking at GFAL, same thing. These guys were going GFAL crazy right here. Nope. This is a head and shoulder pattern. See that? They made a rally. They made another higher high, and then they failed to make a third higher high. So who's really into buying Pepe? And in fact, as these broader market dynamics from the rate cut cycle plays out, this has gotten a massive chance on becoming a total flaming dumpster fire.
Riggedy, wrecked, son!
Just like GFAL. Until the bull market starts, and then Pepe will do fine. It's all about timing. Getting your timing correctly. Here's the other thing that they missed about Caspa, which is just basics. And you can solve this using artificial intelligence to make it clear. So what transactions are happening with the KRC-20? Everybody's loading up on Caspa right here, and what are they going to buy? Nacho, Casper, all of these meme coin projects, these teams, a lot of them are very garage band. These are the early guys, and that's cool. And there's some value in that. There's going to be a bigger round of Caspa meme coins coming later, perhaps even after the run-up phase released by Rhubarb Media, part of Casplex. Back to the point. As soon as these teams sold the Caspa community, the meme coins, what did they do with the Caspa? Hodl it? No, they dumped it. So every time we bought a meme coin on the Caspa chain, we gave that cash to the teams and then they dumped it. They paid themselves off. This is the downside that we're seeing right now. This is totally engineered. This is a no-brainer. You don't even need to know about the bond market. You could completely ex-nay that entire catalyst off of the lineup. And when you really look at it logically, perhaps if you had a systematic approach like the 24-point checklist or the 84 questions that you can ask artificial intelligence about a project, and you start looking at projects side by side, you would have put this together. Remember, we're playing poker here at the table with central banks, investment banking class, and the teams. The teams are a major player, and we've got to play everybody's hand. And what all of YouTube failed to do here was play the team's hands that created the meme coins, because they're getting ready to dump. And this is what we're seeing right now. Just on fundamental basis alone. Interesting on that narrative, but in fact, there's really no truth backing that. The fact of the matter is, have you guys ever watched that movie Oppenheimer? When you get these genius level guys, like a lot of times Shy is on Twitter stating his opinions. These guys who are super high level, next level brainiacs, just like Oppenheimer was, they often have political opinions. This is just the price of doing business. It's a commodity. Caspa's a commodity, not a business. Shai's not really as involved with it as he would be if Caspa was an ice cream stand. It is not. It's a completely separate entity. So there's really no connection of Caspa to Israel itself. Yeah. So there was a lot of concepts, a lot that all of YouTube missed. Very easy to see. We knew the entire time this was going to happen. We had short trades in position to capitalize on this. And all of YouTube was going super alifragilistic, expialidocious, bullish. My inbox was flooded every day with people like, dude, it's going to break out. It's going to break out. You know, so-and-so just posted this. This is going on. There's a new exchange listing. It's the overall macro and economic factors that are the number one catalyst. And this is what everybody in crypto, because of the Dunning-Kruger effect, because they think they know it all, it's flying right over their head. Now, we all want to get rich. Some of us are willing to go the extra distance. For everybody who's an experienced trader, we're going to be opening up a new section in Discord where people can post their own trading plans. And we're going to have kind of a challenge to see who can come up with the best trading plans. And that's going to start in a few weeks. It's going to be super fun. Even for the most advanced traders, there's a massive amount of value into hiring on a team of people to help you. Reading through white papers every day, depending on how much effort you want to put into this crypto stuff. How much time do you even have? If you're working a full-time job, you're not going to have 40 hours a week to read through every white paper in detail and do the proper vetting that needs to take place. Hiring on help. That's why we're opening up the trading plan section inside of Discord, because our VIP group has loads of experienced traders because they want to hire someone to help them read reports. We have 7 24-point reports on the best of the best projects. Some of them aren't even listed yet. They're up and coming IDOs that'll be dropped later. How do we know that these are the best gems? How do we know this system works? It's very easy. Right after the rate cuts happened, September 18th, DEAI and Spectral, they're the 2 leading projects across the board, and we have detailed reports on them. Just look at that. This has been one of our long-lasting gems that we did the report on, that we've been giving trade alerts and buy alerts for. September 18th, it went from 15.5 cents to it just peaked at 55. Our other AI gem, Spectral. And part of vetting these is making sure that they're correlated to the FOMC bond market. This is going to be what sets apart the monster winners from the projects that did okay. If they're going to start digesting this bond market money, then they're going to be enormous winners. And so our system is all about how to research these projects, what to look for, because let's say you're super aggressive into studying. You're like, I'm not going to be lazy. I've got the right mindset. I'm going to be cranking out crypto 50 hours a week. I'm on YouTube looking for clues, tidbits. I'm going to continue researching. You can study for 100 hours and cover absolutely nothing that has to do with price. The 24-point checklist system, which we have video training guides to, and an 84 questions you can cut, copy, paste into AI, as well as the 7 reports that are fully vetted, already proven gems, will show you what to look for to correlate the projects more directly to price. You're reading the white paper, great. What should we look for in the white paper that's going to correlate to price? Turning it into, you could study crypto as a coder and have no idea how to trade it. And a lot of this is going to the broader market dynamics of bonds, which it appears like in all of crypto, we're the only channel that has any idea it's going on. Meanwhile, it's on every television show. It's on every stock YouTuber who's worth his weight. They all talk about this. And I'm afraid at the end of the day, a lot of it's got to do with the Dunning-Kruger effect. Anybody who thinks it's a smart idea to sell their Caspa for Pepe right now is going to have a massive valley of despair. during this bull run. That's not going to be a decision that they can stand behind long term. They could even regulate meme coins. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going down, but ugh. We also have detailed training for technical analysis. So we've been talking a lot about the fundamentals, just the general understanding of what everybody got wrong. Now to fine tune that, you throw the charts in. That's how we get readouts like this. October 4th, which is basically a direct bullseye. Change that to October 7th, and it's a direct hit. This was made on the 9th of September, utilizing a charting system known as the repeating trendline system. This has infinite depth. I'm giving you guys some breadcrumbs. So right now you're already doing charting work. You're like, yeah, I've had some pretty good success with the SMA 50. Awesome. Or you like RSI MACD. Good. By using the repeating trendline system and adding it to your already existing charting, you'll create your own augmented system. What we focus on is using the repeating trendline system with the wick-off breakout method. And this has gotten us uncanny results. So look at this repeating trendline. It's here also. It's here. It goes all the way back to the beginning. It's here. It's the handle of the cup. And this isn't just on Caspa. This is on every crypto, and they're formed by the emissions and halving. As we know, this sends a massive shockwave through the chart every 4 years. When we zoom in on briefer time wave windows, we can see that this just looks like, oh, there's a line going through everything that's colored. Check this out. When we zoom in on that, this was posted inside VIP on September 20th. 24 hours later, it bounced off the top of the golden pocket, found resistance in the teal zone, broke out to the gray zone where it bounced 3 times until meeting the blue zone, which was our exact prediction from using this system and its augmentations. We also got, because look at what happened before. We had this chart already set up. Look at the down channels. Remember how on Caspa we were showing these golden trend line repeating downtrends? Right? We've got this repeating downward channel. Same concept here on Tau, except for we have this rainbow Fibonacci pitch. This was the first major downward price channel. This one was huge. And then we finally got some lateral bounces and broke out of it, entering into those two charts, those two Fibonacci's. They're identical. They're just cloned. You just click it, right click, clone, and now we've got our next one. Patterns tend to repeat themselves in crypto. They don't have to. And we can see very clearly right here that this is like an identical repeat. And that's how you make these unworldly callouts like that. That's pretty Twilight Zone. And we've been doing this the entire time. Let me show you this screenshot here. So we were the first person on all of social media, except for Kaspa Silver, but he has a niche understanding. In my opinion, he's more of a coder. He has a deeper understanding of Caspa as a coding project, which led him into investing in it. Don't quote me on that, though. He was the first one that was all in on Caspa. I was next. I came over from the stock market, more of a trading background. This was the first double up. So we had already loaded up. This is our first short trade, which was on AVAX. As you can see, we changed 12,500 into right around $32,000. How did we do it? From understanding the FOMC monetary policy. Look at this. You can go to Crypto Banter, Altcoin Daily, any of the big YouTubers who made millions last cycle, and right here, the Fed raised the rates. We know what that stands for. That means that the central banks, they're raising this amount. So they're going to pay the investment banking class more cash to stake their money in the government's hands. This is how they fight inflation. Somehow, all of social media decided that this was altcoin season because it was the last rate cut. We shorted AVAX the Friday after the FOMC on Wednesday, put in half our bankroll, 5,000. We had like another 8,000 behind. Then we added the rest. So we're all in on a short. And at this point, it's break even. Setting stop losses. We're only risking our profit at this point. So we've got an all-in high leverage short for the whole kit and caboodle. And we had been building some buffer shorting quant and shorting AVAX earlier as well. So we weren't going to get wiped out even if the first buy-in went. You know, you don't want to have all your money in on a short high leverage trade. We do, and right here, Jane Street directly sells all of their legacy cryptos on either Robinhood or Webull, causing a massive sell-off on the total three. Look what happens on Caspa. And this is why Caspa is so correlated to the bond market and such a gem. From June 1st to that FOMC, Caspa's going sideways and upward. Meanwhile, altcoins are dumping down, and this tells us immediately something's going on with Caspa. Somebody big is buying it, meaning investment banker class. So we back the truck right up and we go all in on Caspa, picking up almost 1.5 million after we close that short down. Boom, from short to long. Why? And this is how we're crushing everybody for gains, because we understand the fundamentals. The sell-off stage wasn't over yet. While the Fed is raising rates, the selling is ongoing. That's how they signal everybody to get their money out of the risk-on market and into the government's bond program. Knowing this alone crushed everybody. Scrolling down the line farther, this FOMC meeting, some bullish news. We tell everybody right on the main channel, the November 2nd upload, November 1st, go 10x leverage on Caspa long right now. 72 hours later, the God candle explodes. Huge payday. Enormous. And really put the channel on the map. We opened VIP here, parallel with this FOMC meeting. During the last downward price trend, the last x-axis resistance, repeating trend line, we got everybody in at 11.5 cold storage, and then we loaded the bag with 10x levered trades at 12.25, giving everybody a stop loss signal at this head and shoulder pattern. Inside of our, we've got a bunch of good tools here. These are all the Caspa leverage trading plans, so you can actually go back and see these previous. Look at how the FOMC market is just directly correlated with Caspa. More than any other project, no projects are pigging out around FOMC dates like Caspa, and this shows us the investment bankers are behind those purchases. That's what they do. That's how they operate. That's how they play their poker hand. We can see every time Caspa was topping, it would form these head and shoulder patterns. So inside VIP, we recognized trouble was on the horizon. And this was a black swan event. So everybody who got sidelined by this, that came out of nowhere. There's no way that you could know that the Bank of Japan was going to raise their rates while the United States was getting ready to cut theirs. So that came out of left field. Not even Gareth Soloway, who's got even more experience than me, saw that coming. So you know it came out of nowhere. Head and shoulders, pattern forming. And we advise everybody to do a stop loss on their leverage trades. But they survived the carry trade wick anyway. That's how down low of a discount price we got. Right after this last FOMC breakout, the 24 points reports we had, they were the best out of all 10,000 projects on the market, including goofy meme coins nobody's heard of, 10 million market cap and up. our projects were all in the top 100. Talk about hitting the nail on the head. And why this was so important is as they're cutting rates, they're telling this class of investor, the Jane Streets, the investment bankers, yes, there will be a distribution phase in this bull market. It could have been a blow off top. A lot of us have heard that concept rolling around social media. There's going to be a blow off top. That involves, in the scenario, the Fed has to start raising rates. All of a sudden in 2025, 2026, they could cut the bull market off early, taking that money off of risk on assets, off of the street, and back into this to fight inflation. But as of now, they're planning on holding the rates down for an extended period of time. This is on every channel in TV, guys. This isn't some nuanced concept that I'm coming up with. Everyone in the world does this. For some reason, the crypto traders, probably because they got paid off so much from the last market, they just think that they're above learning. Never let that mindset affect you. Wake up every day and just tell yourself, dude, I know that if I keep digging and I keep researching, I'm going to find something, whether it's a pick or a fundamental, an overall outlook. I will find something that will unlock my riches. And every single day I'm digging and sharing with everybody. Just recently, we found out about the bond market auctions. So we're actually pulling stuff out in VIP that showed us the date that these bonds are going to be sold. And using that, we said, well, on August 26th, the market's going to crash. It did. And then we came up again and we said, September 28th, the market's going to crash. But actually, we read the bond auction a little bit off because the bond sales went on till October 3rd. And it was October 3rd, it finally started to crash. But conceptually, we were there, always looking, always hunting for new information. And that's what our VIP is all about. We're helping people grow as a trader so you can do your own studying, setting you in the right direction. All of our trading plans are lessons so we understand how these call outs are going to be made. This looks like a cool parlor trick, but it pays well too. And these tools are going to come into hand especially well when it's time to start selling. And we've got a year. So I invite you guys to join the group and jump in. Good idea asking ChatGPT for help and assistance. That would be an add-on question. I'm not sure how ChatGPT is phrasing that. So I would just continue to add on right in that thread. What do you mean by rollback, and keep going? So one of the tools that we have is 84 questions that you can ask that are already tailored. You just copy paste them. Let's say you want to do space mesh, and it will just pump info out to you, links, everything. Let me show you something even better than ChatGPT. It's called Agent GPT, and this is an absolute beast. This is my preferred search engine over ChatGPT. You want to put the settings on 4.0 instead of 3.5 turbo. And this thing can do independent thinking. It can also be the #1 web skimmer that you can get your hands on. So if there's any hidden documents stashed away about a project or blogs, articles, you can pull them out. And we've used this to pull out tons of the bond auction data. Let me pull up one of these to show you. I think it's treasuries. Here we go. Auction search query. So we're pulling up these and analyzing them inside of VIP. This isn't the right one, but the bond auction data. So AI is the smartest guy in the room. That's a tool that you want to use. So definitely that's an add-on question. Keep digging in AI. I have no idea what they're framing rollback as. Just keep going down those rabbit holes, exploring links, and you will become even smarter. Yeah, the VIP is a well put together course. First, we proved ourselves to everybody, showing that we could buy Caspa on the low, showing that we could catch the leverage trades before it broke out. We proved we had merit, and we were also just loading the bag on Caspa. And eventually, now that I've got almost 2 million Caspa from my $10,000 original plus my savings, which weren't that much, leverage trade profits like the God candle, etc., all the other leverage trades, I've got almost 2 million now. At this point, the amount I can save every month will not equal that much for my Caspa. And it's like less than 1%. At that point, I'm like, well, I might as well start building a new bag. And of course, artificial intelligence is going to be a huge narrative for this coming bull run. Absolutely. Yeah, so we get into how to make these insane reads like this, breaking them down, and there's always video links. So the way that it will work is we do a post inside VIP about a trading plan, and then there's all kinds of videos that you can go and explore and to back. And we'll be like, make sure you check out Macroeconomics, this post. The whole reason that we have VIP is because as you guys who regularly view the live stream, we take at least 120 seconds to just catch everybody up on the February 20th date to connect them to the bond market because nobody knows about that. And it's just a way that we can just build off and get more information, more data, more experience right onto your guys' shoulders. This is my GameStop trade from 2021. Interesting about that. That took place 20 days before the Bitcoin peak. This is January 28th. Remember that date that we just talked about? February 20th? Looking at the bond market, February 20th, right? This is the 1-year treasury. So 1 year later, all of this liquidity that's trapped in these bonds is on the street, stimulating growth. So my original GameStop purchase was during the earnings call here, where I noticed they had an exorbitant amount of shorts. I see this guy online, Roaring Kitty. He's posting all kinds of GameStop content. I join his group. I want to hear what he's got to say, right? And he starts breaking down to me what later is Satoshi's secret, the bond market. How this giant bubble of cash is about to enter stocks and it's on its way. And in fact, when you break down the details of the GameStop trade, it was the investment banking class that put Melvin Capital on the ground. It was them with their money from the bonds who took him to the cleaners. And this is exactly how Satoshi built Bitcoin. You can hardly call yourself an experienced crypto investor without knowing Satoshi's secret, without connecting Bitcoin to the global liquidity cycle. That's why it's had so much success, is because every time they do the halving, which was right around here, that restricts the supply. But meanwhile, the FOMC increases the demand because about every 4 years, they unlock the bond bubble. So Satoshi built Bitcoin around the FOMC. It's totally wild. Totally wild. That's why it's had such a massive success. Pretty crazy stuff. And this rabbit hole goes infinitely deep. Once again, I'm giving you guys a breadcrumb trail to lead you into VIP, pricing it friendly because the kind of content that we're getting out there, as we just recently saw, isn't just wrong, it's ridiculously wrong. People that thought we were going to get a breakout here, it didn't matter. Even in the most bullish scenario where we crossed this gravitational field, which is an adaptation of the Wyckoff method for VIP members, we're going to be doing more follow-up posts as the Wyckoff method and this gravitational field will give us insight into when to leverage trade Caspa long. Different from our cold storage projections. Even if we broke through this gray line here, it would have just became the new x-axis downtrend and kept pulling us to the downside. So there was no escaping the bearishness in the market. It's good. Yeah, Spectral is a beast. And the roadmap is one of the things that's the smartest about it. A good idea, Tizano, to get extra value off the VIP, do your best research that you can possibly do. Then join the group and take a look at the 24-point reports we have on Spectral, DEAI, and Desync. And Aether, which is that D-pin powerhouse. These reports are 8 to 10 pages long, and that's not including the links, where we have all kinds of funky tools. And the thing is, when you want to know Spectral, you can't just do a deep dive on Spectral. You've also got to do one on all of its competitors and put them all side by side. And we have that in AI. AI has been our focus point besides Caspa. AI projects. Later, around the spring, before that run-up phase starts, we'll get into more GameFi, and maybe even we'll do a Memecoin. But it's too early for that right now. This isn't, in my opinion, at all time to start loading the bag on Memecoins. No way. That will come later. And looking at the Pepe chart, that is grismal. And we're talking a direct flashback to when I was telling everybody to get out of GFAL. And those videos were just like, phew. Thank you. I can't take all of the credit. I've been exploring the deepest rabbit holes of technical analysis, being somebody who really enjoyed charting. I know that people's minds always work differently, and it's not a gauge of whether you're intelligent. It's just the way that God built your brain. I really enjoyed technical analysis. I've joined every VIP group from here to there, as long as they're reasonably priced. Check them out. And the repeating trend line system is one of the darkest secrets of the internet. It's just not published yet. And when we really dissect what's going on, it's because of the emission and the halving schedules. That's why these trend lines repeat themselves. This is the altcoin market cap, which is the average of every altcoin put together. And these two falling wedges, they're identical trend lines. Tau and Kaspa, super clear examples of these repeating trend lines. It's almost bonkers, right? We had always predicted that it was going to jump up to that blue zone. Why? Because it's what it just previously did, almost repeating itself, just mind-boggling. And with Caspa, this repeating trend line system, I combined it with oscillators, which are similar to RSI and MACD. I use stochastics and another one. But you can combine it with simple moving average. Whatever your charting specialty is, whatever fits you, whether it's a Mochi's Cloud, MACD, SMA lines, you add it onto this and you form an augmented system. That's why inside our Discord, we're going to open up a new section for member trading plans. And the members going through so they won't be drowned out, right? Like you could just go into the VIP chat and post a trading plan. Nobody will see it because of all the other chat going on. These trading plans will be up there and we'll keep track of who's doing good, and everybody will get their proper dues and shout outs as they hit winners. And who knows, what we're looking for is someone that can utilize this repeating trend line system to come up with amazing call outs like this and some of the other ones that we've had. So for everybody who's an experienced trader, jump into the VIP. You're just hiring somebody to do your legwork for you. We've got a GameFi pick that is going to steal the show. It's not even on the market yet. So you get your hands on that, plus all the other reports we've got. 2 of the projects aren't even on the market yet. So there's an immediate value. Think of how many white papers you're going to have to read. You want to do it yourself? I'll show you where to go. Go right here, cryptorank.com. go to upcoming listings, and then you can filter out what section you want to do. So here we're looking for AI. So this is all the AI projects that are up and coming. And this is another clue. We did this in a prior video about what's everybody got geared up for the run. This one right here cures cancer, which is totally wild. So they created a crypto AI that's designed to help doctors put your charts together. This isn't a really common one. What we're seeing a lot of, actually, yeah, see, they got the doctors. Wild idea. What we're seeing a lot of with these up and coming listings is something known as SoFi. So it's ways that artificial intelligence can enhance your social media account. For any of you guys who haven't heard of Aether yet, we've got a 24-point report on this because this is a flagship project. It hasn't started seeing any massive upside yet. It hasn't started taking its position like Tau has. These guys have more hash power from their GPUs than every other project put together. Flux, Render AI, Akash. Combined them all, and they can't even hold a candle to Aether. So this is going to be something that we want to study and learn. If you're interested in some of the more micro cap ones, Chlor AI, Akash, you're interested in looking at those, doing that side-by-side comparison, you definitely want to read the report for Aether. Aether's our biggest report, including links. We're talking like 50 pages. So we're not just sprinkling a little data on you. This is like, again, if you guys want to study, if you're hungry and you just need some direction, helps a lot, because you can study crypto for 100 hours and learn nothing that will help you trade it. There's guys in this building who code and got offered job by Phantom, and their bag is like Shiba, Doge, and Ethereum. Obviously, they're not taking their skill set and applying it to crypto. Trading. Two different sets of skills. So it's very important that we stay on task with our research. Very important. So what I've already done is I've gone through and checked every single GameFi project that's up and coming, and I found the absolute best one possible. I also saw a bunch of cool ones. For example, Boss Fighter. This doesn't have it in full deck like our number one pick because of the team and how they're going to sell it and stuff. Like our number one pick is basically released by some Apple people that are very connected with Apple, as well as the game is just amazing. The tokenomics are great. This game is insanely cool. Just look at that. So you actually, the marketplace makes sense too. You get to trade NFTs and you're battling other players to get NFTs to become the big guy. So then you get to be like a giant robot or a giant Godzilla, and then you're smashing everybody else and stealing their NFTs, their special golden gun, right? Their shield armor. And it's a whole game economy built around that. That game to me just looked really fun. It reminded me of that Star Wars one where you could be Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker, for any of you gaming nerds out there. But doesn't even hold a candle to one of our other picks. We also search Polychain Capital, up and down, left and right, and that's how we found our other IDO. It's one of the most bullish Polychain Capital ones that is set for release strategically, and the teams are doing this strategically, guys. The number one reason why, in my opinion, the Crescendo hard fork hasn't gone down right now, why on earth would the team, knowing what we just covered with the overall economic factors that are happening right now, why would they release the 10 BPS upgrade during a rate cut cycle? Every single time the Fed has cut rates, it's always been bearish. And this goes back to like the 70s. it creates bearish because they're stimulating the economy. This was the total 3 chart last rate cuts. This was the first one. We got a nice rally like we just saw, and then massive sell-off. More cuts, rally, sell-off. More cuts, rally, sell-off. Also, keep in mind we've got an election, which gets people nervous either way you flip the coin, therefore more selling. So the projections right now, bearish. It would make way more sense if the team could launch at any time for them to launch it in Q1, which is when it's scheduled. The crescendo hard fork is coming out in 2025, Q1. By then, the FOMC will have already done the rate cuts and will be ready for the rally, the real rally. When the money starts coming out of bonds owned by investment bankers and going into Caspa. And that's when we're going to see our huge upside. Yes, Meryl, as you can see on Pal AI, we were doing a draft of a trading plan for that. We can see that classic pattern, head and shoulders, very clearly on the chart. And we're waiting for some more price reductions, but we do have a trading plan draft for that, which we'll release later tonight for you. We're looking for some price retracement. As you can see on the PAL chart, it's the second head and shoulder pattern in a row, and they have these really big right shoulders. Whoops. Here's some VIP content. So, yeah, seeing this head and shoulders, see how PAL's always creating this big right shoulder? This is displaying the psychology of the market. So we get the run up, the new high, they go for the third high and they fail, and then they get a sell off. So right around this level from like 20 to that went as low as 13. We're now experiencing sell off. So we had drawn this, Meryl, this morning here when we were above 20. And as you can see, yeah, we were up here. And all we were waiting for, Mara, was to get more downside because we will reassess this chart here and take a look at 16.5. So for everybody who's not in VIP, what we do from here is then there's videos as well as posts all about the head and shoulders, the probability of statistics. You get to see all the head and shoulders that have just happened in the market, like the GFAL, like the Kaspa, Bank of Japan, that started out with a head and shoulders. You get to see all of them. If you buy a trading book, you can get one for crypto classic patterns. The issue is they're from years ago. So this is like an up-to-date active one. And then, of course, we'll tie it all into fundamental information and data, broader market dynamics, right? We'll tie in why the head and shoulders on PAL, connecting it to bond auctions, FOMC, something like that. And this helps people grow immensely as a trader, as well as we'll continue to detail this call out from Caspa, which was pretty good, but we've made an insane series of call outs that have also helped make tons of money, like the God candle, the biggest run up ever on Caspa. We captured the full thing 72 hours before we were in leverage trades 10x, rocketing to the upside. We got everybody in right here, doing it all over again, 10x leverage. So once again, we're in a downward price channel, and this is our specialty, charting the way out of downward price channels. Everybody else on YouTube, content creators, great people, very passionate about crypto. Take a look at what we've got. Hit me up. I can help you figure out the repeating trendline system. Just because we're the first person to talk about it, this is technical analysis. Anybody can use it. And you should definitely be doing FOMC meetings and bond market data anyway. It's on every channel in the television. So time to catch up, guys. And that's exactly why the KRC-20 inscription was always going to be bearish. There was always just going to be a rally and then a sell-off. after the rate cuts happened. Every time since 1970, since they started using this fiat system, that's what happens. And it's the fundamentals of what the rate cuts stand for. They're getting the money out of the Fed's DeFi bubble onto the street to build on chain. And so it's actually extremely bullish what's happening right now, because the investment banking class is getting ready to build on chain for Caspa. No, there's actually a guy on Twitter who's called Crypto John, not the Crypto John from the Caspa community, a different guy who's called Crypto God John. Totally different entities. One of the biggest glaring issues with this right now is the volume is extremely low. And you see this a lot on people's AI gem picks. Alex Becker does this all the time. The majority of his bag is extremely low volume. Like Palm AI, that has almost no volume. Right off the top. Okay, let's read a little bit more about this. OXAI is an Aeon Power Solidity contract. So what that means, and this is part of the 24-point checklist, you want to check what code everything is written in. You want to go into the GitHub page, which is where the team open source posts their code. Use AI, because we're laymen. We can't read code. That might as well be in gibberish to us. You have the AI read the GitHub page and explain to you what's going on. How many coders are working on this project? How many coders have posted in the last 30 days? What are they building? What code is it written in? Ask it all kinds of questions. We have a bunch of questions already for you. This way, as laymen, we can understand what the coders are doing. We can bridge the gap in training and intellectualism. Solidity, originally when crypto first started getting built on Ethereum and elsewhere, nobody knew it was going to be a monstrous success. Therefore, they had to get coders who were ready for the task and use a code that they were already trained in. And that code is Solidity. It can be used to code on Facebook, I believe. It's a common coding language. Everybody already knows it. People go to college for it. In fact, Rust is far superior for cryptography. That's why a lot of projects are being built on Rust right now. Because now people are actually going to college and training to work in crypto. So Solidity is slowly getting phased out. That's a broad opinion. And Rust and newer, more crypto-centric languages are starting to take over. Because it's on Solidity, though, there are advantages there. It'll have an easy time streamlining with the Ethereum virtual machine. It uses machine learning to analyze code for vulnerabilities. Okay, so this actually makes a lot more sense now that we read the rest of the sentence. So it's using machine learning to analyze all of these older cryptos that are built on Solidity and then crank up their use, make them better, faster, cheaper. Yeah, I mean, that narrative is very powerful. And it actually also plays into the fact that there's not a ton of volume right now. And in fact, incorporating everything that we've talked about today into this particular pick, because this is going to be used to polish already existing cryptos, this is something that has a lot of high potential after the run-up phase. So as these cryptos that are written in Solidity get a huge injection of cash, then they're looking to build on top of their chain to make improvements. The great example that we just pulled up with AVAX, let's look at Phantom as well. Looking at Phantom's historic chart, we can see there we go. Look at this. And we get lucky with this 0x0. It'll get a nice run up, some cool down, and then the best time to invest in it would be around here before the distribution phase, or you could wait and buy this at the end of the line. So right now, there's not a huge need. There's not a huge calendar time pressure to invest in this project, because its massive gains will come later in the cycle. It's a late cycle bloomer. So as a multiplier trade, you could take profit off some Bitcoin that you had, as Bitcoin will, during the run up, it will absolutely reach its peak. So we're talking 150,000, 200,000 Bitcoin. Take some profit off of that. Wait 60 days for a cool off, and then roll it into this, just to give you the framework of how all these concepts work together. Yeah, it will do well in the distribution phase. And a lot of these older projects do need help because of what we just went over with the whole Rust thing. The newer coders that are building on Rust, of course, they have a lot more AI tools. Rust is a newer, more refined language. These are the guys just coming out of college. So I can absolutely see why this is somebody's bullish pick. It makes a lot of sense. So here we go. We got somebody way above layman here. This guy's a software developer, so he knows 10 times more than myself about coding. But you'll get this as you research, and this is something that affects price. We want to make sure everything that we study has to do with price. That's why our VIP group is so valuable, because you want to go hard. You want to drink a case of Red Bulls and just bang out crypto studying for the next 3 weeks. Get into VIP so you don't waste time learning about stuff that has nothing to do with price. And there's a lot of it out there. As a software developer, I think the most bullish thing about Rust is how it's used everywhere. Solidity is a language that can only be used for the blockchain, which lower the amount of skilled devs. There you go. Jason's chipping in with some good sound advice. To top that off, the understanding of the broader market dynamics is key. To know what's really going on. So we're hearing some people that were part of the Caspa community, they're getting scared. They're running into memecoin mania. They don't have a bigger understanding of what's actually happening. In the scenario that they did, they would have been with us, knowing the KRC-20 inscription would be a bearish scenario, because it's all about building on chain. An example similar to this is when you get some tokens, looking into tokenomics, which is something that we don't talk about that much on live streams, but let's take Portal, for example. The way that the team structured their tokenomics was they did a lot of unlocking and releasing really early. Other projects will do the exact opposite. They'll only release like a fraction of a percent during the TGE. That's the token generation event. This creates an instant rise in the project, and it's something that we cover inside the new listing section of VIP. So we can see a lot of downside on Portal that we can correlate to the way the teams structured their tokenomics. Yeah, so see, Merrill's gone into the Twitter sphere and started doing some research there. Totally different content creators on Twitter. It's not the same John that we're thinking about from the Caspa community. Totally different guy. Has an even bigger group on his Twitter. Yes, conviction is super key. And the more understanding and knowledge we have, the higher our conviction gets. So, yeah, the Dunning-Kruger effect. Remember, when we get out there and we initially get going, I got pretty lucky with GameStop because I was still, when I jumped into GameStop, I was still learning. Just starting to come out of the valley of despair. And I got very fortunate to get hooked up with Roaring Kitty, joined his VIP group, and he poured a lot of knowledge onto me. Super cool guy, Roaring Kitty. He used to do a lot of Uno trading card games, and he used to do one of those magic 8 balls from Spencer's Gifts. He did all kinds of crazy prediction tools inside of his videos. It was awesome stuff. So yeah, everybody who's thinking, oh no, this is it, Caspa's going down in flames, they just don't understand what's going on. That's all that it is. And this is actually really bullish for Caspa long term because they're building so early. With Jane Street and BlackRock involved, I mean, the battle's already over.
Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Every battle is won before it's ever fought.
These guys have so much influence. They could get the Caspa ticker on television in the United States. We've already been on TV over in Eastern Europe. These are the guys right here who call the shots. They're running the show. And right now they have their finger on the pulse of Caspa. And they have since way back in the day when we first recognized something was up. Caspa's correlation to the bond markets. So, thanks for checking out this video, guys. I do not. This is what we used to do previously was wake up around 10:30, 11 at night, go play the night games, and then wait until 4 or 5 in the morning Vegas time is when you can start day trading the stock market, because this happens very early in the morning, particularly if you're on the West Coast. And then sliding out of that into crypto just became completely immersed in it. Mining it, staking it, building nodes, studying, getting hands on it, just like BlackRock and Marathon Digital is. They're only mining 1% of Caspa, but that's very similar to having, right? Like this is a helium miner. Very popular mining project during the prior bull run. I got in this mining when it was around 10, 15 bucks and it rocketed way up to like 50, maybe even higher than 50 at one point. Does radio waves, so being in this tower gave super good reception. The people that you surround yourself with, Trish, without a doubt, when you're in the right group of people, boost you up. We all realize how being around the wrong people can affect you negatively. Being in this tower, being surrounded by so many successful people. There's guys who own crypto exchanges, men who speak on CNBC about finance, and they get into my ear and they want to pick my brain. And after thinking, why are these guys so interested in grilling me? Because they're like, oh yeah, bring your reports down. We want to take a look at them. They actually told me about this GameFi project after I had already built a report about it. They're working on a competition GameFi project of their own and real world assets. These guys own an exchange overseas. They built the ASICs as an electrical engineer, the first ASICs on Bitcoin. These guys are like the OGs of crypto, living in lavish stuff here in this tower. So being around these people has led me to just raise my own vibrations, which is why VIP is also so important, why the Discord is a good place to hang out, share your ideas, because where are we going to find people that even talk about crypto? Right? The closest crypto investor to you is probably 100 miles away. We're the chosen few that have followed Satoshi's footsteps in a battle against the central banks. And this is just the beginning. This is just every rate cut cycle is like a battle. We're fighting a larger war against the fiat system. And it's us who, after this market cycle is over with and then into the next one as well, we're going to be figureheads in our own communities because we've made so much money off crypto. It's on us in a lot of different ways. So this is a very important point in time. And everybody who's here watching this video in crypto, even the Peach Fuzz Mafia, these are great guys who are ready to taking part in something completely revolutionary. So yeah, haven't been playing poker, just been focused on crypto. The study of crypto, the vetting of crypto, going over the charts like the up and coming PAL swing low that we just went over with Merrill. Researching, this is just one of the basic bonds. This is the 1-year treasury. They have AAA high yield bonds. This is all coming to me from guys in the building that speak on CNBC. They're showing me all kinds of stuff that correlates into risk on markets, as well as using AI to continue down rabbit holes that I find. Always studying. So no, I've become a student of crypto, would be my answer to that. I don't have time for poker anymore. For sure. Yes, a lot of people are going to get super rich. I've changed that $10,000 into now almost $350,000. So I'll be one of the first people that traded their way into $1 million from just, we started with the $12,500 on camera because that's how much it costs to buy into a major poker tournament. Just to prove to everyone that, like, if trading was a petri dish, this is what we would always say about poker. Sometimes with poker, money management, right, risk control, people say, oh, you just need a big bankroll. That couldn't be farther from the truth. Just like putting fungus in a petri dish, if you have a really powerful bacteria or virus, it will take over that petri dish immediately. And that's exactly like your poker playing style and your trading. And all it takes to hit $1 million to get on ESPN with your face flashed around winning a big game show is $12,500. If you get that and you have the right formula, you'll hit it. And I completely believe that. That's why every day, all I want to do is study crypto. That's it. Because it's just, I find it interesting and entertaining, just like it was poker. You know, like when we're getting into poker and you're just like, oh, dude, I can't wake up and get back to the casino and hit the game again. Right, guys? Same thing. And this becomes crypto. There's a lot of similarities too, like the phases of the market, how we're changing our strategy as we get closer. But I digress. Yeah, so the majority of the Caspa community, they just don't understand the fundamentals, and they've been making the exact same mistake over and over again. And unfortunately, right now, it appears like the same mistakes that they're making with GFAL from last year, they are making again with meme coins. Not that I'm bearish on meme coins. I understand the value of them and where that they will go up. This is a head and shoulders on Pepe forming. This is the right shoulder. Just like GFAL. So I'm not entirely confident in this strategy of buying meme coins yet. But you guys already know that because you're starting to digest everything. The tip of the iceberg with this is Satoshi's secret. So if we're crypto investors, we've got to know about the bond market. That's what Satoshi gave us. He gave us a gift to fight the central banks. So let's use it correctly. Yes, the KII has been dropping some awesome information. Run over and check out their YouTube channel because they've been dropping just hits after hits in here. The best video that they've had so far, I would say this one, the main initiatives on Caspa. I would start right here. And then you got Paul Vincent. This guy's like James Bond. He's connected all over the Middle East, massive power player. Comparing Casplex to KII, Casplex is like a local deputy. The KII, they're like J. Edgar Hoover. These guys have clout, serious clout. The energy sector, climate change, this is big. From my experience day trading, every morning when you wake up day trading, you get those special devices that give you news articles about the stocks that are blowing up pre-market, and you read them all. You read all the headlines, the whole summaries. Climate change, carbon credits, it's always tied in with big moving stocks. It's a market moving narrative. And the KII is ready to get this market moving narrative into Caspa. So we'll have more details on that as they emerge. All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.